On behalf of the Morris Area FFA Student Council and University of Minnesota Morris, we welcome you to our Veterans Day program.
We would first like to introduce you today, Superintendent Troy Ferguson.
Well, hello and welcome. My name is Troy Ferguson. I'm the superintendent of the Morris Area School District. It is my honor to welcome our community, our staff, our students, and most importantly, our veterans to this Veterans Day celebration. I'm proud to tell all our veterans that our students have spent a great deal of time preparing to honor you today. We hope you feel the respect, appreciation, and love this community has for you, and we hope you enjoy the program. So once again, on behalf of the Morris Area student body and Morris Area schools, we welcome you and thank you for your service to this great nation.
Thank you for promoting patriotism in our school district. Please enjoy these musical numbers as they are presented by our enthusiastic elementary students and directed by the elementary music department.
pleasure to present a special music performance directed by the Morris Area Music Department.
Thank you for your hard work and your beautiful performance. It is now my pleasure to invite the University of Minnesota Vice Chancellor, Finance and Faculties, Brian Herman.
Music presentations, excellent. Thank you for giving me a chance to say a few words on behalf of Chancellor Barry and the University of Minnesota Morris. We are grateful for the sacrifices all veterans have made that allows us to live in a country that gives people the freedom to pursue education and make a better life for their families. Today, we bring our thanks to the veterans in our student body and our faculty and staff and their families for their service and your sacrifice and your work for peace. We remember the veterans in our families and in our community. We share appreciation for the sacrifices made by those in our midst who have family members serving in active military duty. And we make our personal pledge to work for peace in our own lives, on our campus, in our communities, in our countries, and on this planet we all share. And thank you very much for your service.
We are fortunate that the University of Minnesota and the Morris School District can work together to support our veterans. We would now like everyone to turn their attention to the high school choir.
you to Morris area schools, the student organizations, music department, and most of all, thank you veterans for being here. As I was researching something to say today, I kind of looked back at some of my older notes, and a few years ago I read this piece, and I think it's very, very, very appropriate. It's entitled, I Am a Veteran. It's by Andrea C. Brett. You may not know me for the first time we met. I'm just another one you see on the street. But I'm the reason you walk and breathe today. I am the reason for your liberty. I am a veteran. I work at the local factory all day. I own the restaurant just down the way. I sell your insurance. I start your IB. I've got the best looking grandkids you'll ever see. I'm your grocer, your banker, your child's school teacher. I'm your plumber, your barber, your family's preacher. But there's a part of me that you don't know very well. Just a moment, just listen a moment, and I have a story to tell. I'm a veteran. I joined the service while still in my teens. I traded my prom dress for camouflage greens. I am the first in my family to do something like this, or I followed my father like he followed his. Defying my fears and hiding my doubt, I married my sweetheart before I shipped out. I missed Christmas, then Easter, the birth of my son, but I knew I was doing what had to be done. I served on the battlefront. I served on the base. I bound up the wounded and begged for God's grace. I gave orders to fire. I followed commands. I marched into conflict and did fire distant plans. In the jungle, the desert, on mountains and shores, in bunkers, in tents, on dank earthen floors. While I fought on the ground, in the air, on the sea, my family and friends were home praying for me. For the land of the free and the home of the brave, I faced my demons in foxholes and caves. Then one dreaded day, without drummer or fife, I lost an arm, my buddy lost his life. I came home and moved on, but forever was changed. The perils of war in my memory remain. I don't really say much, I don't feel like I can, but I left home a child and came home a man. There are thousands like me, thousands who are gone, but their legacy lives as time marches on. White crosses in rows and names carved in cue remind us of what these brave souls had to do. I am part of a fellowship, a strong, mighty band of each man and each woman who has served this great land. And when old glory waves, I stand proud, I stand tall. I help keep her flying over you, over all. I am a veteran. We are veterans. Thank you, soldiers.
We appreciate your service to our country, as well as to our community as mayor. We are excited to present our Veterans Day essay winners from the 6th and 9th grade. Each student will be reading their winning piece. Please welcome 6th grader Mila Spike and Rachel Steen, the 9th grader.
Why we should say thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, but why should I say thank you? We don't even know what you do or go through. So I'm here to tell all of you why we should say thank you to all these people sitting in front of us. One reason we should say thank you is they leave home behind. Veterans are fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, children, wives, and husbands. They had homes, other jobs, hobbies, and other duties in life when they chose to serve. They put these other aspects on hold in order to serve our country. Another reason to say thank you is we will never understand what they went through in combat. We didn't go where they go. We didn't walk the path they walked. Veterans had to deal with people and situations in combat that many of us could not live through. Many that make it home struggle with these memories for years. The next reason to say thank you is how they serve no matter the cost. Veterans leave home and family having no control over where they're sent, living in unideal conditions. Veterans chose to endure it all in the efforts to contribute to this country's freedom. The last reason to say thank you is how they go through rigorous training. Being in the military requires a change in lifestyle. The training to develop the skills and mindset it takes to be in the military is beyond what many of us would be able to handle. Veterans push themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to be able to serve. In conclusion, they represent this country and we should honor them. Our men and women that put on their uniforms each day to serve are the ultimate representation of the American spirit. They had a love for their country so great that they were willing to lay their life down in order to ensure that we live the lives we do. They make the absolute greatest sacrifice as an American, and they deserve our utmost respect for doing so. So just say thank you.
What Veterans Day means to me. The definition of Veterans Day is a public holiday held on the anniversary of the end of World War I, November 11th, to honor United States veterans and victims of all wars. But what does Veterans Day mean to you? I mean, is it just a day where us students get out of school for a few hours? Is it just a day that the teachers don't have to teach for a few hours? Is it just a day? Do you think that way sometimes? I don't mean this as accusatory at all. I'm just saying that sometimes we lose the meaning of things in the shuffle of life. We get so worried about things, so caught up in our own heads that we don't realize that things are happening in other people's lives. I mean, the men and women we're supposed to be honoring on Veterans Day were willing to die for us. A lot of them did. Can you imagine someone caring so much about you that they're literally willing to die for you? Can you imagine them not knowing who you are, but being willing to give their lives for you? Can you imagine caring so much about people you have never met that you're willing to die for them? Because I can't. Veterans Day is a day where we get the chance to honor friends and family for what they were willing to do for us. Veterans Day is a special day. It is a day of respect, of honor, of looking forward and looking back, of reminiscing, of hoping. That is why Veterans Day is so important. It draws attention to those who deserve it the most. But why should Veterans Day be only on November 11th? Why should we not celebrate these brave men and women every day? If anyone deserves that, they do. I'm proud that we have this day. Proud that we have one day of the year where all of our attention is hopefully focused on our veterans. But if you see a veteran, any day of the year, say thank you. Tell your family members who served that you're grateful for their sacrifice. Grateful that they were willing to die for you. But, as I said earlier, Veterans Day is a day of hoping, of celebration. It's a day of learning, of remembrance, a day of honor. So let us celebrate these wonderful, brave men and women, those who are here in person and those who are here in spirit. Let us show them how appreciative we are. Let us honor them, not only today, but every day.
Thank you for sharing your amazing message and your appreciation for our veterans. We appreciate the time on a day John Kleinwaldron, the band, and the choir have spent on preparing this musical piece. Veterans, when your military branch song is played, please stand. Army, please stand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morris Area Band, for honoring the veterans through your music. Please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker this afternoon.
Doug enlisted into Battery C 11551 Field Artillery Platoon in 1993 as a 13B Field Artilleryman. After reaching 21 years of service, he retired and is currently the production manager of Superior Components in Morris, Minnesota. He was a member of 2 deployments in Iraq with Battery C-151FA, October 2004 through December 2005, serving as a squad leader in April of 2009 through 2010, where he was a platoon sergeant. His last 4 years of service was with 175th Forward Support Company, where he was the administrative non-commissioned officer. Doug currently resides in Morris, Minnesota with his daughter Nevaeh, who is 17, and his son Tice, who is 14. Please welcome Doug.
Good afternoon. Before I start my speech, I'd like just to make a few comments. I've been coming to this ceremony since, I don't know, when Nevaeh and Hannah were sitting over there with the little kindergarten class, I swear, and now they're over there as seniors. And one thing I have to do is I have to tip my hat to the Morris area faculties, teachers, the choir department, the band. The professionalism every year just gets better and better. Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and of course, the students of Morris area schools, welcome to this Veterans Day celebration. It is a privilege for me and an honor for a very special group of Americans today on Veterans Day. As a retired sergeant of Charlie Battery 10151FA, I cannot think of no better place to be than right here with you celebrating Veterans Day. Now listen, I know a lot of you students would rather be on Instagram, texting each other, or playing Xbox than listening to an older, experienced person like myself talk to you about Veterans Day. But if you just give me a few minutes of your time, I think I can show you that celebrating Veterans Day isn't just for old folks. Let me start by telling you a short story. I'm going to share some stories about a group of amazing men. Some of them walked the same halls that you're walking today. This group of men served together on deployment from October of 2004 to December of 2005. There was a few tigers, a couple owls, a few braves, a rabbit, or whatever you call those kids from Dawson Boyd. Okay. But by every definition, just ordinary West Central Minnesotan kids. Most of us were still in college, and we're starting our first job when the deployment began. And then October 4th of 2004, on a very cold morning, we hopped on some buses and headed to Fort Dix, New Jersey. Scared. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know how long we were going to be there. And I'll tell you this, it took us about 48 hours of being at Fort Dix, New Jersey to know that's not where we wanted to be. The training was hard, the days were long, and we still had no clue where we were going in Iraq or what we'd be doing. Well, congratulations, Army, you made Fort Dix worse than Iraq. So finally, we get to Baghdad, Iraq, New Year's Eve day of 2004. It was a long and crazy night. Okay, you're moving, you have no idea where you're at, and there's celebration fire going on all over the place. And you're scared. So the next day came, New Year's Day, January 1st, 2005, and we started our mission. Our mission was very special, actually. We were security guards at hospitals. We pulled security for the 2 highest officials in all of Iraq at that time, General Casey and General David Petraeus. We were their everyday security guards. All right? And then some of us I don't know, they said the lucky ones. I never really figured that one out. We got to drive around Baghdad looking for the bad guys. But it always amazed me what became routine because that was the mission, and we just did it. Well, then on February 21st, 2005, war got real. On that day, that group of men lost 3 of our friends and fellow soldiers. First Lieutenant Timmerman, Sergeant Laka, and Staff Sergeant David Day. All right? We'll never forget them. But still to this day, what amazes me the most is how that day the mission went on. Soldiers looked at each other and we were scared and just wanted to wake up from this evil nightmare and go home, but we didn't. We stayed serving in Iraq for 9 more months. And we had a few more close calls. We had DBIDs, IEDs, all that kind of stuff happened. But every day, that group of men stayed professional. They stayed looking out for one another. They became brothers. I'd like to share a quote from you from the author, Michael Norman. I know why men who have been to war earn to reunite, not to tell stories or look at old pictures, not to laugh or weep. Comrades gather because they long to be with men who once acted at their best, men who suffered and sacrificed, who were stripped of their humanity. I did not pick these men. They were delivered by fate and the military. But I know them in a way I know no other men. I have never given anyone such trust. They were willing to guard something more precious than my life. They would have carried my reputation, the memory of me. It was part of the bargain we all made. The reasons we were so willing to die for one another. As long as I have a memory, I think of all of them every day. I'm sure that when I leave this world, my last thoughts will be of my family and my comrades, such good men. That is from the book, These Good Men by Michael Norman. Now, by their own admission, they were not superheroes. They were just ordinary men who chose to do some extraordinary things. But I believe that everyone who chose to wear our country's uniform is doing something extraordinary. Our nation's veterans represent the million of American men and women who have served the Republic over the past 200 years. Fortunately, this country has been blessed with citizens who have taken their civic responsibility seriously and have taken up arms and marched to the sound of guns wherever and whenever the rights of men and women have been threatened. As of 2015, our Census Bureau count, there are over 21,369,602 veterans. These citizen soldiers were not seeking personal gain or even fame. Their country called on them and they answered. There was a simple patriotic response. They recognized their civic duty and acted accordingly. Our nation owes a great debt to its veterans, whose service spans every decade and continues every day of our country's existence. Through untold courage and sacrifice, American veterans have secured the liberty in which the Founding Fathers sought to establish here in the New World. Wherever and whenever the nation is called in times of darkness and danger, as well in times of peace and prosperity, the American veterans have been there. Veterans have proudly carried the torch of liberty to all to see. Veterans have ensured your right to travel freely around the world and around this great country, to do things like the ability to go to movies, play sports, or go to concerts, or just hang out with friends. In fact, this very school building stands in part because of the sacrifices of our veterans. There's no denying that the contributions of our nation, veterans have played a big part in making the United States of America the great country that it is. We have been celebrating American veterans with a special day for many years. As has already been noted, the first Veterans Day was declared on the National Day of Remembrance by President Woodrow Wilson. We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. In this year's sense, President Wilson made the 11th of November a National Day of Remembrance. The scope of our observance has changed from a day set aside to remember the dead, and from one war to a day in which American veterans from all wars, as well as those who served in peacetime, could be honored. Veterans Day is for the past 2 decades or so, our nation is at war. We continue to fight and defend our freedom and combat terrorism. This calls for us to honor and celebrate both those veterans whose service is recorded in the history of past conflicts and recognize our current warriors who add to our nation's rich history every day. They are stationed around the world, standing in harm's way to protect us at this very moment. We owe our nation's veterans a debt we can never repay. We can and should remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us. But we must honor them with deeds, not just words. So how do Americans properly thank their veterans this day? It can't be a simple thank you, or it can be how we act. It can be how we observe the day, how we volunteer to be firefighters, do our jury duty, to be good Americans. That is how you can thank the veterans for their sacrifices. Every day in America, we have a chance to be great. We just have to grab that chance and do it. Veterans Day is set aside to remember every man and woman who's taken up arms to defend our country. We honor every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and member of the Coast Guard who gave some of the best years of their lives to the service of the United States and stood ready to give their life itself on our behalf. President John F. Kennedy once said that a nation reveals itself not only by the people it produces, but also by the people that it honors and by the people it remembers. Millions of military veterans walk among us, and on this day our nation salutes them all. Morris Area School, students and faculty, thank you for your time and attention, and most of all, thank you to all American veterans, especially those ones that are here. And to my friends who know, FDC is not easy.
Your words have provided encouragement and pride to our country. Thank you for your service. It has been an honor to commence this Veterans Day program. Thank you all for attending. A special thanks to the veterans that have served and are continuing to serve our country. Please rise and remain standing until the recessional of the color guard and the veterans is complete. Veterans, you can now